The Canes take pride in these 3,000 square feet.
This is called my Charlie Brown tree.
Their Centennial home is their biggest investment.
Another one of my favorite places.
That has paid dividends.
This is a lot of old time stuff here.
Like the parties around this killer jukebox.
I gotta turn it down a little bit.
Chuck and Kate knew they couldn't hold on to it forever. They'd need to make some improvements and get ready to eventually sell and downsize. So an offer was music to their ears.
We received a flyer. My husband looked at it and said, "Oh, this sounds like a really good deal."
The deal was from a company called Unison, offering a so-called home equity investment.
It's a great program. It's interest-free, no payments until you sell your home. The salesman was from Michigan, and we became friends.
Soon after, an appraiser showed up, valued the home, then someone came with a lengthy document.
It was just the notary.
And that was, part of our fault too, because we didn't ask a lot of questions. We wanted the money.
Then they had a check.
This was our pride and joy. I
used it to redo the kitchen and build a deck. They assumed that they'd pay it back when they sold their home. Nearly 8 years later, they are now stunned to learn they could owe a lot more.
There were no steps. There was nothing explained to us that this is what was going to happen.
So here's what happened. In exchange for that upfront payment, companies like Unison essentially get a share of your home. In the Canes case, after some fees, they got $87,000 from Unison, and Unison got a 70% stake in their house. Homes tend to grow in value as years go by, and Unison banks on that. Almost 8 years after they signed that deal for $87,000, Unison estimates if the Canes sold their house now, they could potentially owe Unison nearly 3 times what they originally got paid. A typical home equity loan has an APR of about 7.9%. The effective APR on this could be near double.
They thought this is an interest-free loan.
Elizabeth Aniskevich is the Canes attorney who this week filed a federal lawsuit against Unison, accusing the company of using deceptive marketing and offering products that work like loans, that operate like mortgages or reverse mortgages without any of the consumer protections.
The laws, generally speaking, under any of those would require Unison to inform the consumer at the time they sign the agreement, what is the annualized percentage rate of this agreement? So you have a better estimate of what you would owe at the end.
Her lawsuit seeks class action, assuming there are plenty of others like the Canes. Steve on Your Side searched land records and found more than 400 similar agreements in 9 of Colorado's largest counties.
And I think it is highly likely that many people do not even understand today what they are in and what the result is going to be at the end of this contract.
Unison's media team has not yet responded to our request for comment on this lawsuit, but in other court cases, the company's attorneys have argued that this is an option contract, not a loan, and that people are given ample time to read what they're signing, and the document even encourages they seek financial or legal advice.
This is how I go up.
He has a difficult time going up and down our very steep stairs. He has back issues.
The Canes say they need to downsize soon, but can't.
And we want to retire. We want to be able to have this cushion, this safety net to see us through the rest of our lives, by downsizing. And this is our investment.
They now say their biggest investment, their American dream, mostly belongs to someone else.
Well, Unison took that dream away from us.
So there are several other cases making similar allegations about Unison across the country, and in some of those cases, judges have refused to dismiss cases, claiming it is plausible to consider these home equity agreements as loans. They'll have to further judge in those cases. Now, again, this case is seeking class action status, which could take some time to determine whether or not it'll get it. I'm Steve Stager, Steve on Your Side, 9 News.
Steve, just quickly, this isn't the only company doing this kind of thing. There are others?
There are other companies doing things like this. Back in January of 2025, the CFPB, this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the federal regulator for a lot of these financial projects, kind of warned consumers about this to make sure that they were taking a long look at these contracts, because oftentimes they could be a lot more expensive than a home loan would be. You see that one with almost double an APR compared to a home equity loan. So there are cases making their way through the courts right now. No definitive decisions, but a lot of judges that have indicated that they could see how this could be interpreted as a loan, and that all needs to sort itself out through the court process. It'll be interesting to see if this case does the same. There is a similar case to this in Colorado in a bankruptcy proceeding where a judge made a ruling like that, wouldn't allow the case to be dismissed because the chance that this could be determined to be a loan down the road.
That's the legal side of everything. It's a story to listen to and just make some thoughtful decisions.
Yeah, just something to keep in mind if something like this comes knocking.
Thanks, Steve.